Learner biography. You've done a bit of preparation, thinking of some examples of yourself as a learner. Could you tell me a little bit about how you learn best? First and foremost.
It's difficult to say because there is a way I usually learn, but my idea is this is not the way I learn best. This is the way I learn to learn.
Yeah.
To give you an example, I have a university degree. I taught at university, so in a way I learned to learn like the school system wants me to, very theoretically.
Yeah.
Now sitting down 1 hour of math and 1 hour of history.
Sure.
Learning things in a theoretical way.
Yeah.
I can do so. But when I can choose on my own, it's very important for me to be a part of this. Or both. Either be in action or just being lazy.
Okay.
Just watching films and just doing things
Okay.
in English, if we talk about English now.
Yeah.
For example, I live in Denmark and I think I speak Danish fluently. And in the very beginning I started to learn Danish theoretically. And it was so boring. I lost motivation. And so I just tried to be in Denmark and to listen what people said.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, even if I am a language teacher, I couldn't really explain you how I learned Danish. I just did so.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I like this very much. And this can be a handicap for me when learning things structured.
Okay, so why is that a handicap, as you say?
Because I get bored very quickly. I can do so if I need things. But if I just do it for fun, I don't want to join a structured teaching. I don't want to sit with a grammar book and making exercises.
Sure.
So I can do so, but I think it's boring, and in a way I think my mind closes when doing these things.
Okay. And you say you can do it, so am I right in describing it as two modes? You say if you have to, you can do it.
Sure.
But you prefer, you find it boring, you don't like the process, and you prefer, could you put some more words on what you prefer? You say being in it, using it.
Yeah.
Do you have more words?
For example, just using ordinary situations, we do this with German in my family, having a period where we only speak German. Doesn't work that good in my family, but with English maybe it could work better, to have an English day, for example, or to use ordinary situations, maybe to switch speaking English with my English colleagues.
Yeah, yes, okay.
They might want to train their Danish.
Yeah, so you have to make some sort of contract.
It could be things like this, or watching small videos in English.
Yeah.
Best way, of course, would be to move to England for 2 months.
Yeah. No, there are lots of methods of that immersion, and we'll get to that later in terms of how it can be done. I would like to know a little bit more about your how you see yourself as a learner. So could you give me an example from your learning history where something went well, where you felt that kind of engagement that you seem to be looking for?
So usually it was when we had to do things.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, I was always quite a bad student in primary school.
Okay.
And then when we went to what is Gymnasium in Germany, this is the last 3 years, 11, 12 and 13th class, we started working more project-based. And suddenly, from absolutely being one of the worst students, I changed to being one of the best students. Because suddenly it has to do with age too, but suddenly things got interesting for me. Or for example now.
Yeah.
In a way, I think my English is not good enough for having a coaching session in English. But I get motivated by using it now because I want to say things. So it's important for me to produce things. So at school, when we had tasks and we had a result, I like it very much. And when it was not school-based, to give a concrete example, at school we had one of my favorite friends. He was so good at history, and he told us a long story about why Jews were always outsiders because they wanted it. It was because of their religion and things like this. And in the very end, he told us everything I told you was completely rubbish. And we trusted in everything he said.
Wow.
This is the way how I learned an awfully lot. So I wanted to know how it was. So
what happened there? What was it that engaged you so much to be told that it was all wrong? You trusted.
Because
you invested trust.
I thought I was an idiot, that I believed in all the things he told me.
Right.
And so I wanted to know better.
Yeah.
And things like these.
Yes.
I think the most important thing for me is, sounds like from a book about methodology, ownership. When I think this is important for me, and I need, when we talk about English, and I need to use the language to reach my goal. So I learn a lot.
I hear two strands here. Engagement for its own sake, and reaching your goals, and it being a means to reaching your goals. Am I right in describing it that way?
The second one.
The last thing you said, when you talk about engagement and look engaged, you talk about projects and you choosing it yourself, ownership, and towards the end, you talked about how you're also engaged because you need something in order to reach your goal. So that's more of a planned approach. Could you describe situations where those two have been combined? Learning something, if I put a few more
For
words.
example, when I learned Danish, when I started in my present job, I needed to improve my written Danish because Danish was my working language, and I had to act on an area where my vocabulary didn't, it wasn't good enough, it didn't fit in. So I had to learn a lot of vocabulary about methodology in Danish, and of course I had to improve my writing. To be able to write on my own, because I can ask my colleagues to check things in the very beginning, but we can't work in this way.
No, sure.
So this was very motivating for me.
So you had to reach a goal. If you were to take what you've described as your motivating factor, ownership and engagement, what part of it did you feel was your choice and engaged you, not towards the goal itself, but the process?
It was, I just needed it and I wanted it.
Yes.
I wanted this job, and I got this job, and I want to do this job as good as possible and want to get out of this work as much as possible, and I needed the language for this.
Yes. Okay. So planned goal, motivating factor was the fact that you needed it for the job. Yes. And you described, to start with, there was the theoretical approach, which you found boring, and then there was the other approach to Danish, to learning Danish. Now, just before we wrap up this phase and move on to your specific goals, I'd just like to know, could you give an example of an English learning experience?
this will not make your job easier, or my job in the end. At the time I thought my English should be improved, more structured, because I didn't have the time to do it in my spare time. And I thought, if I join a class, it will motivate me because I have to be there twice a week.
Yeah.
And I signed just an ordinary English class preparation to a B2 exam. And this teacher, he was completely different to my approach.
Okay.
He was very calm, extremely structured, very focused on grammar and vocabulary. We got a lot of exercises. Everything was calm and smooth, and I enjoyed it.
And you enjoyed it?
I really
That's
enjoyed it.
That's very interesting.
In the very beginning I thought, what is this? I can't stand it. And in the end I really loved it.
Wow.
Because I always knew what will happen next. I would have expected that it was boring, but actually it was
and
not.
it wasn't.
No.
Very interesting.
So in a
Very
way there
interesting.
there are two souls in my learning
and
body, or
some complexity.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the one thing, and the other thing is, maybe it was in my childhood when we had an exchange when I was at school, and I went to Birmingham to a mining worker family in Birmingham.
Wow.
And when I came there with my, I don't know, 6th class English, I didn't understand anything at all. It was totally zero. And after 2 weeks, I understood almost everything.
Wow.
This was so great.
Wow.
And these people, even if I couldn't communicate with them in the beginning, they were so cute. They did everything for me, and it was, and I think this made me safe. So I stopped in the beginning. I panicked.
Yeah.
Because what are they saying? And when I relaxed, I started understanding, and it was so quickly that I improved my English by this exchange.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, there is certainly an example of what you just said about Danish.
Yeah.
That you liked using.
Just being there.
Yeah.
And needing to understand it, and.
Yeah. Yes. Needing to and having an engagement as well with other people. Is that important to other people, or is it primarily for other reasons? Learning English, for
learning to
example.
communicate with people.
Yeah.
For both reasons. What motivates me is communication.
Yeah.
I want to be able to express what I really mean and understand what others really mean, and I need the language for this.
Yeah.
The other thing is work-based. I work as a project leader, and in most of my projects, the project language is English.
Yeah.
So I need to improve my English
Yeah.
to feel more safe.
Yes. So we have need is a central term. I need to in order to reach a goal, and the other one is still that more immediate sense of engagement.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a fair description?
And in a way, of course, there is a space in between in these projects.
Yes.
I very often think I'm starting with a pep talk, and I'm filled with energy and ideas, and the English words coming out of my mouth. All my energy is falling because I'm just not able to say things like I want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this irritates me.
Yeah.
So this is a very strong motivation, I think.
Yes. Great. Thank you.